So refineries, the one we have here, all of them can be rehabilitated, which is a good thing to know, and then be run by proper people, experts. Now, we have trained in the past Nigerians to run the refineries, but we have not given them the freedom and the resources to do so. Every refinery management, like the MD, has the final say, except in NNPC, where from the headquarters they can direct him to do otherwise, or put him under the position where he has to listen to them.
So those Nigerians that were trained to run the refinery are still around?
Well, I was one of them. Okay. So
assuming
most of them that were initially trained have graduated and retired. Yes, but the question you should ask: are they being trained and renewed like that? New ones coming in to take their place and proper training? The answer is no.
Is there even an opportunity for those old ones that were trained to come in and train the ones that are inside?
Yes and no. In fact, that does happen now. Many of those refineries still employ retired people, to come and do certain things for them for a short period. Okay? But the issue in the refineries today is not just about training. It's about the way a refinery is run, the maintenance program, the funding, the availability of crude oil as and when they are required. All of those things to run like a business.
Can we look at that structure again?
Yes.
The structure. What should the refinery structure look like?
It's not only
the proper structure we should have.
It's ownership. There's a difference between structure and ownership. If you go to any refinery, you will see the same structure there.
Speak to this ownership debate then.
Good. The ownership is that when it is owned by an entrepreneur that has the capability, the experience, and the knowledge, and the financing, it will run like it's supposed to run. But when it is owned by a bureaucratic owner, like the federal government owns 100%, they determine who runs it. They can change the management, the MD, they can sack 10 people, 15, 20 people at any time. Even if it's wrong for the refinery to do that. You train me as a maintenance man for 10, 15 years. I run the place. All of a sudden, somebody comes and sacks me. Not related to my job, but because he has the right to do that and get away with it.
So you're back to the argument of privatizing the refinery.
Well, I didn't want to use the wrong word, because whenever you use it, people misunderstand it.
Perhaps let us put it in another way and even relate it to what is happening now in the sector. A case in point, Aramco.
Yes.
Now, for the first time, we're getting to see that they have the IPO coming up for the oil major, which a whole lot of people never thought would ever happen. Is that almost the same thing you were hoping that would have happened in our own NNPC?
Not quite, because even when Aramco was 100% owned, owned by the government and everything, they had a completely different thing. The Minister of Petroleum in Saudi had no connection whatsoever with the management of Aramco. In fact, it is because they had a Saudi there working in Aramco who has attained the excellence and the knowledge that they can bring him out now and become the minister. See, the problem is this. Today in Nigeria, the MD of any refinery can be removed tomorrow morning without regard to whether or not is there. The three refineries now are operating with EDOs, Executive Director Operations. In fact, I must say, without. When I changed from the project manager of the Pt.2 refinery, until 1989, I was a project manager in different projects, Warri, Kaduna refineries. When we finished Pt.2 refinery, I was appointed the Executive Director Operations, like the head of the technical side. I voluntarily went through a training program with an Indian who had over 15 years experience in that position in 5 Indian refineries for 9 months. Voluntarily, every morning we were together in the same office. I went through that to prepare me for the job. After that, the Indian man, Mr. Vasudeva, said, "Alex, you are ready to take over from me." Nobody asked me to do it. I, as executive director, I could have just pretended that I knew everything. Fortunately, I was then appointed MD after that. Now, if you go to the 3 refineries today, there are no EDOs there. That is lack of recognition of how it takes to run a refinery. The MDs are going in there, running the MD of Kaduna Refinery today is not even a science graduate.
Well, we understand,
and there is no EDO.
We understand that in a few days, the federal government will announce a new policy for the sector. Do you think that we should deregulate or fully deregulate the sector?
Absolutely. In fact, the issue of inviting joint venture partners is that there must be something that attracts them. If you have a partner, whether it's 50-50 or 80-20 or whatever, there must be something to attract them. They must, since they are supposed to know how to run a refinery and bring money, $300 million as guarantee, is there must be something to attract them. If the refineries are not profitable, you will never have a permanent, so anybody interested in becoming a partner to the federal government. Now, you are talking of privatization. I don't want to use the word. I saw it going joint venture. Why I say lack of clarity. If you invite people to come and participate, at least tell them that you will be 50% owner, or I'm bringing you to run the refinery and then as a partner. Look at all the joint venture partners we have in the upstream. There's a JV agreement, NNPC 60%, ExxonMobil 40%. But there is another agreement, operations agreement. ExxonMobil runs the operations 100%. When I see in this advertisement which says NNPC and the joint venture partner they are proposing will do it joint operations, I say it's wrong. It's not possible technically. 2 captains cannot be in a ship. 2 systems cannot run. So it's either you bring in a joint venture partner and said, the problem we have in the past that our people are not capable, if that is the truth, or they don't have money, take responsibility for this. I have 50% or I have 30% of the equity, I bring in the money, that's what happens. You run it properly. So what is the purpose of this joint venture invitation? To run it by themselves? And it says there, if at a certain stage the refinery is making money again, we will pay you off your participation until it becomes 100% again. Now, would you want to participate in such a thing like that?
But in your report, since you say we should fully deregulate the sector, what about the tailback effect it will have on the people? Because lately, last time out when that talk about deregulation or privatization popped up, people raised reservations, different groups, union, the people. As it is now, even though we may have to eventually face it, can we face it and handle it?
I asked the question, why can't we face it? Put the question there, what is the problem? Why can't we? Especially when we have tried this for 30 years and it's not working. And don't forget, we're trying to reverse what was in there before. In 1964, 65, when Port Refinery was built, it was all private. No government at all. 50% Shell, 50% BP. And then we took over finally. Why did we take over? In 1973, we became members of OPEC. OPEC said all members must have shares in it. So we took 40%. And then the private company was still, BP was still, and the refinery was still being run by BP on behalf of Shell, Nigeria, and themselves. Gradually, we took over 100% in 1978. The other people were taken out. Since then, we have been running it as a monopoly. Initially, in the first few years, 10 years, the system was maintained. After a while, the ministry came on, controls the, whatever. And then it became a bureaucratic setup. We lost control of what it is to run a refinery. Slowly but surely. So I hear the minister saying we need $700 million to fix the refineries. Yes, you spend $700 million, and if you are fortunate and you have the right contractor, it will fix it again. And then after about 5-10 years or less, it goes back. But if you have a private, knowledgeable investor that comes in there and takes in charge of the operation, that refinery will run ad infinitum. Every time it needs to be expanded to meet the requirements, it will be done.
All right. Well, I'm afraid we'll have to anchor there. Always a pleasure to have you on. Alex Ogedengbe is a former managing director of Port Harcourt and Kaduna refineries. We appreciate your coming on this morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, we will be back in a minute. Don't go away.